Lilia, welcome to the potty.
Good to be here.
Thanks for jumping on. Really keen and stoked to sit down with you. I feel like you're overseas basically half of the time.
Overseas or around New Zealand.
Yeah, basically.
Which is, I guess, the goal.
Yeah, totally. Just
traveling a lot.
living the life and living the dream. But I was really keen to start the story around when you were in high school and first starting Wellington Live.
Yes.
So for those people that aren't familiar with you and what Wellington Live is, do you mind just giving them a bit of a brief update?
Cool. Okay. So I started Wellington Live actually after I'd left high school, but before I'd started uni. So during high school, I was always interested in entrepreneurship, and we had different through different years throughout school, we'd have the chance to make a little business. We had like a year 10 market week where we would make products and sell them, and it was like a bit of a competition with who could, have the most sales or the most profit or all that kind of stuff. And then in my last year of school, which happened to be year 12, I went to Hutt Valley High School at that point in time, and in business studies class, we had Young Enterprise Scheme, which is incredible. And
such a good program.
I recommend to literally everyone. I think it should be mandatory in school.
Totally. I don't think we had that at Altea College, but there's so many amazing people that have gone across it, eh?
Yeah, it's life-changing for sure. Anyway, so I did that, and that business was a pineapple chunk gelato. Cannot call it pineapple lumps due to like copyright reasons. Fair enough. Cadbury. Pineapple chunk gelato, and we did really well in that. We won the Wellington Regionals, which was really cool. And then after that, I got accepted into the first program of something called Venture Up, run by Creative HQ, which was a 6-week-long, full-time, sort of like a business accelerator, but we didn't already have businesses to start with. So like you go in
coming in completely fresh.
Yeah. So you go in, like you meet everyone. It was 28 other young people from around the country that had done Young Enterprise and were kind of like handpicked by Creative HQ to come and be a part of this program. So
awesome.
I'm stoked I was picked. But we pitched ideas on the first night and then formed teams. My team for that was doing a healthy energy drink with an ingredient from the Amazon, which at that time at least wasn't used in any energy drinks in New Zealand.
Epic. What was the ingredient?
Guayusa.
Guayusa. Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds pretty funky.
Wants to Google that. But yeah, so at that point in time, I mean, I was feeling pretty solid on the business. Thought we were going to continue it. And so I withdrew from the first term of uni because I thought we were going to go full time on this business. But as happens, teams fall apart, and I couldn't get re-enrolled back into uni until the second trimester. Now, it was during this break where it was 2015 and major flooding happened in Wellington. And I had a history of I'll make Facebook pages for fun. And so I kind of thought, hey, why don't I make a Facebook page? But my goal was around helping bring all the information together because I could see it was just really chaotic out there. And even like my siblings trying to figure out, is the school open or not? Are the roads open? And everyone in all these different Facebook community groups were asking these questions. And I could find a lot of that information by going to all the different sources, all the different news websites and the council websites, and even just from people posting in those groups that information. So I thought, why not just bring it all into one place so that it's easy for everyone to find that without them having to scour all the different websites themselves. So I started just posting, all the information in this page called Wellington Floods 2015 Live. And it took off.
And when you say took off, in terms of numbers, like what was the growth looking like there?
Within between 24 and 48 hours, it got 16,000 followers.
Wow.
Which was pretty decent. I think it's pretty decent.
Not bad.
And reaching hundreds of thousands of people. And it was just like everyone, was liking, commenting, sharing, and it became known as the place to go for all the information about the flooding. So that was really cool.
And so there would have been like a natural progression where you're covering content about the about the floods specifically for this Facebook page. Yeah. And then time goes by. The flood becomes less of an issue.
The floods ended.
The floods ended. how did you then, were you like, okay, cool, I've got such a massive amount of following through this page, I've got to do something with it?
Yeah, kind of like that. So the page name was Wellington Floods 2015 Live, and flooding ended, and I thought, okay, maybe I could just leave it until it floods again. But, you know, who knows when that's going to happen, how often, and everything like that. And I thought it's kind of a waste to just let a page with that many followers to just sit there posting nothing until it floods again. So I took out the part in the name about the flooding. So I condensed it down to Wellington Live, and I started posting anything that was like, it was relevant about Wellington. So crashes, earthquakes, so like a lot of natural disaster stuff I continued with, but also general news as well. I think at that point, you know, I might have been sharing links to stuff and News Hub and all the different news sites and council related stuff as well. But what happened is over time, I learnt what the audience was interested in and what they weren't interested in. And with the name being Wellington Live, at the essence of it was that it was live. So in terms of natural disasters or things happening like crashes or house fires or gunmen on the loose, it was live. And so I would be the first one to post about it. And people would always ask me, oh, how do you know? To be honest, I don't know, but a lot of information actually came to me. So it became crowdsourced, where whenever this, like, say a crash would happen down the street, instantly it's like a photo is coming through to me of this crash. And so I know it's legit. Like, wow. I can see the time it was taken and there's information coming through. And so I can post about that before any like news agency or anyone else.
And that must have basically been like a full-time job, right? If you're got your finger on the pulse almost 24/7, how were you sort of managing your time running this, like, you know, basically this mini news company through Facebook?
Totally. I think I'm 25 right now. I grew up where technology started coming into play. Like, I still remember having dial-up.
I was having this conversation the other day because we're exactly the same age, right?
Yeah.
We were basically the guinea pigs when it came to social media. Like, there were no other teenagers that went through having social media apps on their phone before us.
Yeah, true. We really were the guinea pigs.
We were the guinea pigs,
God,
100%.
and a lot of bad stuff happened out of that.
For sure.
Which, it's not fun to look back on. But I don't know, it's the way it is.
Yeah.
Adults will never fully know what the kids are up to.
Totally.
So
you were fully like immersed within social media already.
Yep.
So it was second nature for you?
Yeah,
or?
It just came naturally to me, like posting and messaging and engaging. So, like, sure, for someone who was a lot older with less experience, it would have been quite a task.
For sure.
But for me, because it came naturally, it's just a post here and there. Like, I could be doing whatever, and you know, get notified that a message has come through, and then I can post about it. And with the page, because I wanted it to also be just relevant content, that meant I wasn't just posting any nonsense. I would only post something if it was actually relevant and important and people want to know about it. So it didn't matter if I went a day or two without posting, because I'd rather post something of high quality that people care about than, just random stuff.
And how do you know, you said you had like a good almost radar for what your audience did and didn't like.
Yes.
How did you first come to understand that? Because I think a lot of people listening, whether they're running their own business, their startup, or trying to up their game on social media, you know, like understanding your audience is such a huge piece of the puzzle there. So was that done through trial and error, like posting stuff, seeing doesn't get good engagement, and so sort of redefining it from there?
Okay, so this takes me back to what you learn in entrepreneurship. You learn about validation and giving your customers what they want/need. If someone has a need and you can create something that fills that need, you've instantly, well, not instantly, obviously, like the price has to work, everything else has to work, but you're probably going to have success if you're filling a need. And if you're filling a want, then that's also quite highly successful as well if you get all the other pieces together. So because I knew that, I knew to listen to what in my audience would say. So if I would post something, and I read like every single comment for years, which is a lot of comments.
It's a lot of Karens to get through.
Oh God, yeah, totally. But I cared about what they thought, and if they had a negative comment about anything, I would take it in and think to myself, okay, this person thinks I shouldn't post this, so maybe I shouldn't. And I would think about it, and there were definitely instances where it is just, one crazy person who's always got something negative to say. But I just felt it was so important to listen to what they were saying, and that helped me learn. So some examples of that could be early on, I guess going into this, I had no prior media journalism kind of experience. So I learned don't necessarily always post photos of crashes, because people would say, oh, like this could be someone's family, and that because I was posting it before anyone else, it's kind of different. Like if Stuff or Herald has already posted it, so it's like, well, it's already in the news.
Yeah.
But me being the Facebook page, I had to learn the boundaries of what is appropriate to post and what's not. Even though I had all these like images and information available to me, I had like a social responsibility to...
It was like a code of ethics, that you need to follow.
Code of ethics, morals and everything. And I would just, I think that's the key thing, is listen to the audience / customers if you're in a business, and give them what they want. And so whatever they would engage with the most, I'll give them more of that.
Because it was getting to the point where you'd have like weekly reach of up to like 1 million people were seeing your posts and videos and the content from this page, which is crazy.
Yeah, which is a lot,
What are like the 3 sort of top pieces of success for like growing a Facebook page to that magnitude? I think you probably already covered one, is like knowing your audience.
Yes. Okay. Let's say second one is good quality content. So
what do you mean by that?
Okay, so I guess this is another factor that helped to make the page be successful, is that growing up, I got my first camera when I was maybe 13. So I was always interested in visuals and taking photos, which meant that I developed an eye for what looks good and what doesn't. And, some people, they can't take photos, like it's wonky, it's blurred, it's... it's kind of cringe. That's
like me, like because I'm a dad, I'm just like an absolute dad when it comes to taking photos. I've got like my finger over the camera and shit. It's bad.
You should work on that.
I should. I really should.
Because of that, I knew what was a good photo to post or video, or and so I could curate the content in a way that was visually appealing and that people would engage with it and like it. And you see some brands and other pages, they'll post photos, but they just kind of suck. Like let's say, for example, like a sunset photo, you need to have really vibrant colors. There's got to be some stuff going on in there.
Totally.
It can't just be like someone's backyard. Or, I mean, there's scenarios where that works.
Yeah.
But like, there has to be something unique and eye-catching about it. And a lot of people just don't get that. So good content would be, the second, I guess, piece of advice for growing your page is just make sure that it is eye-catching. And again, in terms of learning from your audience, if they aren't engaging with it, then maybe it's not good. So maybe learn from that and try to do something differently. There's all the little things as well, which, you'd be surprised a lot of brands still haven't learned. Like, I would say don't bother with hashtags on Facebook posts, because nobody searches up hashtags on Facebook.
True. True.
All they do is clutter the posts. With captions, you want captions as short as possible. Chuck some emojis in there to break up the text. You don't want a long paragraph or anything. There are scenarios where paragraphs do work, which is where it is a personable story, where it's like people can connect with it and they want to keep reading, and it's more a stronger connection kind of thing. But short and sweet, straight to the point, don't fluff around.
It's pretty amazing. You've got through all of this experience, you've basically got like a PhD in social media, right?
Oh, I'd love that. It's so funny because I started marketing at Vic Uni. So back to the story. So I started the Facebook page, and then I don't know exact dates, but like a month or two later, I started at Vic Uni to do a Bachelor of Commerce majoring in marketing.
Yep.
And I got to the point where I was sitting in these lectures, and I had my laptop open, obviously, but I was just like on my Facebook page because I'm engaging and learning and everything. And like I've got there like saying I've reached 500,000 people that week. And then I just felt like I was way more engaged with that. And what they were teaching us in marketing was none of that. It was nothing. Like if they could have taught me how to do social media
Yeah.
or monetize the social media in terms of advertising, which eventually I had to learn on my own. But it was just so outdated. And I think university will always be outdated. So it's a tough one. I mean, because university is great for some people.
Totally.
But if you're wanting to do something new, it's just, I just felt like it wasn't like worth my time when I got, because I could see and on my phone, on my computer, all the stuff I was doing and what I was learning had nothing to do with that. It was all like newspapers and billboards, and I'm like, newspapers are going out. We're not going to be reading newspapers in a few years. And now we know, like, there's no newspapers around anymore.
So did you stick through with your university degree?
No. So I did drop out about a year and a half in, which, I think was a good decision. It's tough because being so immersed in the business world, in the startup scene in Wellington, I would have a lot of people saying and talking about how you don't need a uni degree anymore. It's more about what you know, what your experience is, blah, blah, blah. And then I got out of uni and I decided, okay, I'm like amazing at social media. I should be able to get like a regular job in social media to keep income up. But I couldn't get a job in social media, which was real stupid.
Why was that? Because you probably have like a shining CV when it comes to a core example of creating Wellington Live, you know?
I know. It was, I think the thing is recruiters and businesses, they just want to tick boxes. Unless you're being hired by a startup, startups might get it.
Yeah.
But the majority of businesses out there, they are just ticking the boxes. And if I haven't got a completed degree, I don't have 3 years prior experience in this kind of role, they don't care.
True.
Even though I could have been better than anyone else
Yeah.
and made their brand wildly successful, I just couldn't actually get a job in social media, which sucked. And so when I did leave uni, I ended up getting just a really boring kind of customer service chat role. And eventually the Kaikoura earthquakes happened in 2016, I believe. And that was a big time for Wellington Live. Even though the earthquakes weren't centered in Wellington, somehow the page grew by about 30,000 followers,
Far out.
which is heaps. Yeah.
How many total followers did it have at that moment?
At that point, I don't know, maybe like 60 or 70,000 total.
Yeah.
But that was like just a massive growth. And even years later, people would come to me and say, I knew your page from when the Kaikoura earthquakes happened. And just because they were like trying to get around the country and I guess, but anyway, so when that happened, I was working in that job. I was in a trial period, and I said to them, hey, can I take the morning off because I've got this page. They knew about the page and my responsibility to it, but they didn't want to let me take the morning off to do my posts. And so I had this sudden conflict of, wow, like, is my page my thing? Or is my boring job my thing?
Yeah, right.
So I said to them, look, I'm gonna take the morning off. I'm gonna do my updates.
So you fired your employer.
Yeah.
You essentially quit.
And
You're like, you're fired.
And then like the day or two after, I got this text like, this is called abandonment of employment.
Oh,
and I lost the job.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, it was, but I mean, good riddance in a sense, because it really, that is what made me realize that I couldn't have a normal job at the same time.
Yeah.
Because, well, unless the normal job were to understand and let me, run the page at the same time.
So does that make you pivot and start to look at Wellington Live as a way for you to potentially turn it into a business and a job?
Yeah. I realized I had to. There was no way I could do multiple things at once.
And you're essentially doing this, you're building the airplane while you're literally flying it.
Yeah.
So what was that thought process, or take us through those steps around leaving this job, which is paying like a steady income, to going into, starting to essentially make a business out of a Facebook page?
Okay.
Where do you start?
Baby steps. Now this was, so I guess it was 2016. This was around when the whole term of influencers started appearing, and it was all quite new. Like these days, you talk to any business about influence marketing and they'll know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And they know that there's value in it. But back then, that was all quite new and everyone was just trying to wrap their heads around it. And so I would talk to a lot of people, even in startup world, business worlds, like asking them for advice on how can I make money. And I never really got any like direct answers on how to do it. It was, they'd say things around like, oh, you can advertise and stuff, but like there was no clear, exact kind of instructions, I guess, on how to do that. And so I had to learn. And so I think my first brand deal was, Little Island.
The ice cream. Yeah, nice.
They sent me a bottle of coconut chocolate milk, and I think they also might have paid me like $20 to post about that.
What a bargain! What a deal!
$20, yeah. But anyways, that post maybe at that time, I mean, it probably only got like 100 and something likes and some comments and things like that. But from that, I started to have like evidence of if I were to post about a brand, you'll get this kind of reach, these likes, these comments.
And are you capturing the analytics through like screen grabs and stuff like that?
Yeah, I'll take screenshots of the post insights, and I slowly gathered up insights where it gave me more confidence to ask businesses for more money. And yeah, but definitely early days, it was pretty tough, because also these businesses didn't get it because they didn't know what influencer marketing was and all that kind of stuff.
True.
And I was just me. I wasn't a big media agency with rate cards and all that kind of jazzed up stuff. So
that must be a really hard thing starting out as well. It's like, I guess as any business owner or entrepreneur, it's like when you first start getting clients, what rate do you value your business? I've been thinking about that even within the podcast realm, like when we start engaging sponsors for business, we're not there yet because the listener base, although a massive shout out to everyone listening to the podcast, we're not quite at 20,000 views per episode. But it's like, how do you really know what's appropriate pricing for like the return on investment for a business to invest into it. And I guess when you're just starting out, it's kind of you're putting a finger into the air and really trusting your gut,
there's nothing to compare it to really. Even with other podcasts though, it's because like the listener base will be different.
Totally.
And you might not know the exact demographics of all the listeners as well. And I think it also depends on the brand, if the brand is relevant to the
audience.
Listeners. And that's also something with Wellington Live that I learned, and I was quite strict with myself on, was that I wasn't going to advertise for anything that was not relevant to the audience. So any advertisement that I did, I wanted it to blend in to the point where people would already expect to see something like that.
True. That's smart. So it almost didn't even seem like too much of a sell.
It didn't seem like an ad because it would already be something about Wellington, or I ended up advertising for a lot of events, which, on a page called Wellington Life, you may already expect events to be posted on there. Or different activities like Adrenaline Forest out here advertise a fair bit, and that's something you might expect to see because I'm showcasing different activities around the region. And eventually I got to work with Wellington NZ, the tourism arm of the council, which at the time was called READER, Wellington Economic Development Agency. Now called Wellington NZ. And so I did a bit of work with them, done a bit of work with other councils as well, like the Porirua City Council and Hutt Valley Council. And eventually I discovered that I could mix my passion of tourism and taking photos and videos and start advertising for different regions around the country as well. So I could go, say, down to Marlborough Sounds and capture my trip and showcase that on Wellington Live as, hey, did you know you can catch a $50 ferry down to Picton and spend the weekend exploring Marlborough Sounds, and just kind of showcasing different regions and activities and encouraging people to get out and see more of the country. So that was cool. So that was sort of like my segue into what I'm doing right now, which is more fully tourism content creation.
Yeah, totally. And we'll get into that
Yep.
a bit more in a second.
Yep.
So you're running Wellington Live.
Yep.
You know, things are humming.
Yeah.
Does it get to a point where you can actually make like a decent income
Yes.
from running ads and running this essentially as like a business?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel like a big point is I never intended for it to happen. I never intended to make Wellington Live. I never intended for it to be a business. It all just flowed on. But because I never had that intention, I was never driven by money. I was driven by like encouraging the community, like spreading positivity about Wellington and being able to change the way that people view Wellington, mainly the people that live here, but also people from outside. And so like often I'd share cool photos and videos of Wellington and the activities and things to do and everything. But I was never driven by money, so I was never in it to make bank. I only got it to a point where I was making enough to live off, where I didn't need to have another full-time job, which to be honest was really good. And I mean, this is a whole other thing we could go down, but I had never had a normal job in my life before. So I went straight from school to a little bit of uni to doing Facebook posts.
Yeah, that's
and
crazy.
Making an income off them.
That is so crazy. And like, what a big risk that you're taking at that really pivotal moment in your life, when I'm sure all the other mates are going to get university degrees. Because
for like 5 years.
I was really similar in the same degree as well, because having a baby at 16, I was like, okay, I need to go into the workforce and make some money.
Yeah, true.
And I'm the same. I started working from the age of 18. All my mates getting university degrees, and a lot of the time you kind of do question it sometimes.
Yeah.
You're like, shit, am I on the right path? Like
I know.
I can't engage or connect or relate to some people even my age. But yeah, obviously it's paid off for you.
Yeah, totally. So sorry. As saying, so I made enough to live off. Because I never had any other job, I couldn't fully appreciate what I had. Where a lot of people in the business world may be familiar with something called the 4-hour work week. And I essentially had that for several years, which, is quite an achievement, because that's what a lot of people dream of.
4-hour work
Pretty
week.
much.
Wow.
4 hours, but for me it was like spread out over, because I was like 24/7 on alert, where if I had to post something, I was going to post it instantly.
Totally. But you could become really efficient. You could schedule your posts.
I never scheduled anything. No.
Oh, really?
You
True.
can't schedule an earthquake.
But like, you wouldn't have posts like scheduled and lined up?
No, never scheduled. No.
True.
All just like as it happens, live.
Well, yeah, that is the dream, working remotely in the 4-hour work week.
Yeah, and
Sign
so
me up.
I could be anywhere. I could be doing anything. So, there was a point where I was just spending my days like exploring. I lived in Auckland for a little bit, which is funny because I was running Wellington Live from Auckland for over a year. I know. It's important to experience different cities. But anyway, so like every day, like I would go to different waterfalls, different hikes and walks, and I got to the point where I'm like, what am I doing with my life? Like, is this it? Am I just doing this for the rest of my life?
Hey, it beats sitting in an office cubicle.
I know. Yeah, but the thing is, I had never had that.
True.
And I kind of wanted it.
True.
Because, like, you can't appreciate something if you haven't seen the opposite.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of what ended up driving me to selling it, was I wanted to experience something different and keep moving on with life. And now, looking back, I can appreciate it more, because I've done a few more normal work kind of I mean, not normal actually, but I can appreciate what I had.
Was a part of that a part of you intrinsically wanting to challenge yourself again?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, there was no, when you're making enough money off what you need, of what you're doing, it's like there's no risk really involved, and I knew it was just second nature to me running the page. But yeah, I just wanted to get out there and do more. So that's when I kind of had a few times where I looked at selling it, and I would get advice from the older generation, the boomers, and I'd have people saying to me, "Oh yeah, we can get you $300,000," and they go and talk to NZME stuff and whatever, and that would kind of drag on, and I didn't have much patience in the sense that because I'd always worked on my own, I hadn't seen the realities of the world of, say, government and business where things take weeks, if not months, to happen, which is really stupid because that means the government wastes a lot of money because you're just waiting in between emails.
Yep.
Things. Yeah. And so there was one point where I had an offer from stuff.co.nz that was through me, that wasn't through any middle party or anything. And it was okay. Like, it wasn't heaps.
Can you say what it was?
Yeah, it was 50 grand. And they were keen to hire me as well to do social media on a salary of like 50 grand. So at the end of a year, I could have had 100 grand.
Yeah.
Which, maybe would have been good back then.
Yeah.
But I kept talking to people for advice, and I got so much mixed advice that I just got so confused, and I didn't know what was the correct choice to make, whether to sell to them or to not. So I ended up not, and I thought, you know what, maybe if I give it a few more years, keep running it, maybe I could get a better deal when I do decide to sell it. So that's kind of what happened, and I kept running it, and then again, I'd think, what am I doing with my life? Like, I didn't even choose to do this.
You kind of stumbled across it, eh?
Yes. Yeah.
Very like perfect stars aligning sort of moment with the floods and.
Yeah, I know. Natural disasters were my specialty.
Yeah, basically, reporter over here.
I know. I did love that fast-paced environment of that, and I thought, maybe like a job in media would be cool. And to be honest, maybe I'd still enjoy that actually.
So what's the process when you are going to sell a Facebook page? Because I'm sure for many people, we just have no idea and no visibility to what that even looks like. Are companies looking to grab the whole thing? Is it as simple as just sharing your username and your password?
Oh, yeah.
Do you, like, what sort of analytics do you have to share with them?
Yeah.
How do you price it?
Yeah.
What's the in and outs to selling a Facebook page?
I wish I knew. And again, that's something where I would ask a ton of people, and nobody had a clear answer.
So I guess it's quite a rare thing to do.
Yeah. Yep. And so it was a lot to navigate. And I guess first point I'd say is, like, you can't actually sell just a social media channel because that's like against Facebook terms. So you have to sell a company. And luckily, like, I was a registered company, Wellington Life Limited. It was technically a media company, and so if I sell the company, it happens to come with the social media channels, and that's how it works.
True.
So yeah, I mean, I definitely packaged together all the analytics, all like information I had on it. So Wellington Live, the purpose of Wellington Live was for it to be a community page, to support the community, help people with live updates, and bring more positivity to the city through good photos and videos that showcase the region, things to do, things to see. So it was all about for the community. Never for money, never for any political or reason of, trying to influence people.
No agenda.
No agenda. Yeah. And so because of that, I was trying to think who would be the perfect buyer, who would I want to run it, and I thought like Wellington City Council, so Wellington NZ / the council. It's interesting. They're two different things which people who aren't familiar, they wouldn't know. Wellington NZ is the tourism, and then Wellington City Council is the council that does, I guess, the boring stuff.
The roads, rates, rubbish, fines.
Yeah, all that stuff. And I had I reached out to both of them, and they both said no. And I wasn't even looking for much money at all, I hope they can look back now and ask themselves, why did we not take
seems
that
like
up?
a no-brainer, eh?
Exactly. Yeah, no, but I think with government organisations, they're a bit stubborn, and they don't want to be seen as they couldn't achieve something on their own.
Yeah.
So instead, Wellington City Council created their own new channel and probably spent many hundreds of thousands of dollars on that the following year after I'd offered it to the CEO. And like that's cost a lot more of ratepayers' money than it would have to purchase Wellington Live and already have a massive audience. Similar with Reader, they the reason they denied it was because their media agency recommended against it because it would cost too much to run. Whereas here I was
you're like living proof
running
that
it.
Yeah.
One person, half an hour a day. And I thought, of course, the media agency is going to recommend them not to, because they would save a ton of money on advertising, and the media agency would get less business out of them.
Yeah.
So it was a weird situation, and I felt a bit defeated after that, because they didn't want it. Yeah. So I was like, okay, what else? Where else would I like to see my page in the future? And I thought tourism.
Yep.
It's all about positivity. It's about showcasing the region, encouraging people to go out and about. And so I stumbled across a tourism startup that had reached out to me actually about a separate Facebook page that I had about New Zealand, it was a pretty generic page that I just shared photos and videos of New Zealand and like encouraging people to explore different places. But they reached out about that, and they wanted to use it to advertise they were launching a tourism app that would bundle together experiences around New Zealand. So I engaged with them on that, and then that was around the time when I was reaching out to the council about selling the page, and so that fell through, and I mentioned it to them, and they were like, oh yeah, maybe we could look at buying Wellington Live. And I was like, okay, yeah. I mean, you guys, it's a tourism app. It fits in the category of what I want to see the page in the future, is to continue posting positive stuff, nothing political, nothing, too negative. And so the conversation started happening. A purchase agreement was made. And to be honest, I didn't sell it for much compared to what I could have got if I had put in the effort to reach out to other places. But at that point, I was also just completely I needed it gone.
Yeah.
The mental drain and everything, it was just too much. So.
And when you sold it, how many followers did it have and how many likes?
Just over 200,000.
Far out. That is huge, eh? 200,000.
I know. Yeah, so there's a Facebook 200,000, Instagram, I actually can't remember, it's like, it had many thousands as well.
Yeah.
At least 60,000, I'm pretty sure. As well as the Facebook community group, the Wellington Life community, which had about 80,000 members.
Wow.
Where other people were posting into it, sharing their community updates.
Yeah. Yeah, that is massive. And so when you're packaging that, are you just like taking screenshots of the analytics? Like, do you have like a sales deck almost for the prospective buyers to look into?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely put together a bit of a document. Nothing too fancy though.
Yeah.
It was a conversational based kind of thing, because I was already meeting with these guys, meeting with the team, and the plan was that they would buy it, but I would stay involved for a while, and maybe even end up taking up a job within the startup, because I could be going around getting all this content of the tourism related things.
Yeah.
And so I had a good relationship with a lot of the team there, but part of the contract was that I would keep running the page for 6 months, and the way that they did it is 2 of the team brought my company 50-50. And so the sale happened. So they had it 50-50 each. Then, as startups do, the team fell apart. And it was really chaotic. And it was a lot, really. It was not a good time. And I was stuck in the middle because they owned it 50-50 each, and I didn't know who to listen to. One of them ended up threatening the other with legal action, like high court and everything. So then that guy got a lawyer, and the lawyer was like, "We've never seen anything like this before. Just sell it and run."
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
And so that was the advice their lawyer gave
to
you.
Yeah. So that guy sold his 50% to the other guy, and I was still stuck there in the 6-month contract to keep running and posting and doing business as usual.
And
nothing different.
Do they have full like creative control over it, or?
They could give me advice on things, but I was still kind of the purpose of me staying there 6 months was that they could find someone to take over from me.
Right, there'd be like proper handover and stuff.
Yeah, like a proper social media hire.
Yeah.
Someone or multiple people to take over, and so yes, I kept running business as usual, nothing different. But I was in this weird chaotic situation of being stuck in someone else's startup drama, which was exactly what I was trying to avoid. I just wanted to sell it and find peace and move on to something new, but I couldn't. So, yeah, it ended up in the hands of one person, and I mean, he's definitely taken it in a different direction than I had hoped it would go. There is no tourism map to be seen.
True.
There were
So
many promises.
That fell apart.
It fell apart.
Yeah.
Yep. And yeah, so I mean, yeah, there's definitely a lot of drama around that, and depending on when this podcast is released, there may be some media articles and things like that as well.
Yeah.
So we may need another conversation at some point.
Yeah, definitely. And it totally has changed a lot. And I guess a question for you is, as you were building up Wellington Live, you were definitely very far removed and doing it behind the scenes. Like,
Yes.
it wasn't like this is...
It wasn't my thing.
No, totally. Like, you were not the face behind it.
Yeah.
But with the change of direction of Wellington Live now, like, I've had to, unfortunately... unfollow it. It's just not my... Yeah, I don't know. It's not
different.
like... Yeah, it's just different. It's just different. But was there a part of you where people were still connecting you to the page? And
Luckily not. And that was definitely one of my biggest worries when selling it and seeing the way that it was changing. I was very scared that people would think that this was me posting these chaotic, irrelevant, political things. Luckily though, I don't think I ever had any occurrence of that happening.
That's good.
Where someone saying, oh, like this was me, and they'll call me out for it, but that didn't happen. I mean, obviously, when I sold it, I posted on my channel saying, like, "Hey, everyone, I've exited my company. I'm going on to new things now." So, anyone that knew me and knew that I ran it, and that they probably followed me on Instagram or something, so they would see that I had sold it. And yeah, I purposely didn't put my face. I didn't make myself the face of the page because, I mean, in the early days, there was a lot of negative. Well, I was 17. Teenage boys are chaotic and mean and bullying.
Yeah.
And what they call banter. But it was pretty bad. And so I learnt that I cannot handle hate. And so I never made it too obvious that it was me running the page or that it was only me.
Yeah.
People would think it was a proper media company and like a whole team behind it and everything.
Yeah.
But in reality, it was just me.
Yeah.
And so, but I found ways to integrate myself mainly through the tourism content. So, like, let's say I'm going to Marlborough Sounds, like I might be in some of the photos or the videos, or I got more passionately into landscape photography. So I would post a lot of my photos on the page and my name would be there. So my name, started getting out there a bit more.
Yeah.
There was one year as well where I made a calendar with some of what I thought were my best photos, and that did pretty well. I sold 200 calendars, which
Nice.
I think was decent.
That's cool. It's in someone's house somewhere.
I literally hand delivered all of them.
Oh, that's real nice.
I was like, I'm not paying for postage. I can't trust postage. Things get stolen. I don't want to have to deal with that. So I literally dropped them off in everyone's letterbox. It was great. I got to know a lot of suburbs in Wellington that I've never even been to before.
End-to-end service.
Yeah, exactly.
And how much do you reckon you could have sold Wellington Live for with its full potential? Because it sounds like you might have been rushing the sell of it a bit.
I mean, it was so tricky because, again, if we go back to what I would ask people for advice of what is this worth, there's always the issue that the channel is owned by Facebook. You don't, the external party doesn't own it.
Yeah.
Any moment, Facebook could take it down and everything would be gone. So any buyer is taking that risk on. So that can make people feel less obliged to put a whole lot of money into it because of the risk. And there's also the other side of people saying, oh, Facebook's dying, blah, blah, blah. The truth is Facebook isn't dying. It's just moving up with the demographic. So we're 25. We still use Facebook. You use Facebook?
Yeah. The old scroll here and there.
Yeah, I scroll. We are at the bottom of... So people younger than us have dropped off and they are on Instagram, then they're on TikTok. But Facebook will always be strong for as long as we live.
True. So it will capture this demographic and above, really, because a lot of the boomers are on there too.
All the boomers are on it now, which is it's great because let's say you're a business and you want to advertise to people who have disposable income. That's them.
Totally.
So you should be on Facebook, and the reach is still there. Facebook is easy to grow something organically or with a little bit of budget behind it, but if you were to compare it to Instagram is really hard to grow on. TikTok is the easiest to grow on.
TikTok is crazy. Even with like the podcast, and I remember like Ashton was like, "Man, you got to get on TikTok." I was like, "I'll give it a try." And then some clips just go absolutely viral. It's insane.
Yeah, it does not matter how many followers you have on TikTok. Any video can take off as long as it's good quality content, which is great because it's teaching people your content needs to be high quality, you know, it can't just be rubbish.
But then also some real random stuff blow up, and it's like, is this even good quality? It's just like a person speaking to the camera, like I don't know, just recording a video themselves with this. Like, I hate the TikTok voice people put on. You know that like fake American sort of TikTok voice they put on?
Hey guys, today I'm going to the gym.
Oh my God, it does my head in, eh?
Yep. I haven't gotten into that. I mean, I've done some voiceovers, but like nothing, not quite the daily vlog kind of things yet. Yeah. Which you know, like I it's still fine to do. If you do that, that's cool. It's just
So you've sold Wellington Live, and then you go into more of like a freelance sort of tourism.
Not
space.
quite yet.
No.
Okay, so
Fill
there's
in the
another
gaps.
chapter. So after I sold it, I posted on LinkedIn, "Hey, like I've sold my company, so I'm looking for something new to do." And I had quite a few messages come in. I had one message from someone called John Holt, and he set up about 12 years ago a thing called the Kiwi Landing Pad, which was a co-working space in Silicon Valley for Kiwi entrepreneurs to go and work out of when they head over to the States. And he was looking for someone to come on board with that and help do just general community management, like organizing meetups, events, engaging with the founders. The role definitely, was a constant transformation as well. And it was definitely really cool in terms of the opportunities. I went to the States 3 times.
Wow. Yeah, you're in like San Fran and stuff, eh?
Yeah. There's definitely lots of lessons learned from that. And I mean, first I'll say the States isn't what people think it is here in New Zealand. We think it's this big dream. But there's homelessness everywhere. San Francisco, like you step out the hotel and there's just homeless people everywhere. They're doing drugs. The streets are disgusting. It's not what we think it is. LA as well, even worse.
It's really funny as well because I feel like within our generation, when we were younger, the US was like this haven, this dream. All the movies are from there. Yep. Everyone would just go crazy, fantasizing about going there one day. And then we've noticed a complete 180 shift.
Yeah, it's completely changed.
In our short, 25 years on this earth, where some people I know are like, why would I even want to go to the States?
I used to be like that as well. I thought I'm never going to the States unless I'm going to a reptile show because I love turtles. A reptile show? Yeah, that was going to be my only reason to go there a couple of years ago.
It might be the new SeaWorld, watch out.
Yeah, oh gosh. But yeah, I had I lost, America's been in the news for a lot of bad things in the past 5 to 10 years, political mainly. So the drive is less significant to go there. But anyway, so I took up this role for a non-profit organisation called Kiwi Landing Pad.
Super cool.
We rebranded it into Territory 3 to mark different stages of its journey of helping founders and the way that we help them and the way that their journey is as well. And so in that role, I was engaging with a lot of startup founders around New Zealand and over in the States as well, and with the goal of helping to connect them with each other, with people that might benefit their growth, and with resources. So we did a weekly webinar series interviewing founders, both younger and older, and so trying to get as many insights as we can to support these founders that are looking to scale up their companies overseas. So that was a really cool role. And then I've only left that about a month ago.
Oh, wow, that recent.
Yeah, real recent. And so I've been in a bit of like a quiet transition period right now where I'm transitioning into full-time tourism freelance content creation and doing that on the D-Lo so far. But we will be announcing, the organization is closing down as well just because recession, it's difficult to get funding. A lot of startups are actually really struggling right now. Most are laying off staff just to get through the economic climate right now. So there's not many actually scaling into the States right now.
Yeah, true. That's pretty sad, eh?
Yeah, it really sucks. it's tough out there for a lot of people right now. And in New Zealand, we are really sheltered from it. In the States, it's a big deal, but over here, the thing over here is the cost of living is the talk.
Yeah.
Like how expensive fruit and vegetables are, or
Totally.
petrol is
Yeah,
crazy right now.
I
But
wanted to ask you, through your work with Kiwi Landing Pad, so you would have had access to so many awesome Kiwis doing amazing things abroad. What were some of the like key ingredients that make up a successful entrepreneur who's a New Zealander living overseas that you got to understand through meeting these people? Do they have any common traits between them, or?
Yeah, I mean, big one is that they are go-getters. They're not scared. They are willing to get on that plane and get over there and sell themselves. And that is something that a lot of New Zealanders struggle with, is we don't like to sell ourselves and talk up about what we're doing. We're very humble to the point where, you go to America and it's the complete opposite there. People will scream off the rooftops how good they are or what they're trying to sell. But over here, it's just completely different. It's bad if you do that.
And did you notice that culture when you're in the US? And it's
so
the
different.
tall poppy syndrome in New Zealand,
Yeah,
where
it sucks. Which is again why over the years I've been quite quiet about like what I've done, because I even had I was chatting to someone many years ago about it, and he was like, "Oh, that's so cool, you're doing all this, blah blah blah," but I'm just doing this, and I felt really bad that this guy, he was sad because he wasn't as successful as I was. And that made me feel like I shouldn't share my success because it'll just make people feel bad about themselves.
Yeah, it's like the old saying, like comparison is the thief of joy.
Yeah.
Like you're always comparing yourself to the next person walking down the street, or your neighbour who's got like a fancy new toy or a better job than you. You're just never going to be happy or satisfied.
Exactly.
But we were just talking, about the change of culture for Americans, but I think that's probably something they actually do really well, is that they're confident and proud to speak up about their achievements and what they're doing and get other people on board that journey. And it's just such a missing... I just think we've got so much more potential in New Zealand. Like if that was realised, heck, we'd have so many more Lilias, we'd have so many more people with Kiwi Landing Pad, smashing it overseas.
But anyway, yes, that's definitely one of the biggest traits, is that the people that are actually succeeding over there are the ones that have less fear, and they're just going for it because they know the worst that can happen is just back to square one, back to having a regular life. And like, that's not terrible, you can always start again. I mean, it definitely gets a bit more intense if, some people with some businesses, they might put their mortgage on the line, which, generally isn't recommended. Generally the path with these ones scaling overseas is they will raise capital, raise a few $1 million from investors. So the risk is spread out on the investors, but there can be higher reward if it succeeds well. But yeah, to be honest, a lot of the more successful ones end up coming back to New Zealand
True.
for lifestyle, really. Once you go out in New Zealand, you realize how beautiful the country really is.
Yeah.
So a lot of them spread around the country, quite a few in Queenstown area as well.
Yeah.
Beautiful down there. But yeah, even me being in the States, like, I missed greenery, like just being able to drive to a hill and like I was in Austin, Texas, and there was this beautiful place that people go to look out on the lake for sunset, the Oasis at Lake Travis. Yeah. And it was just so commercialized. It was concrete everywhere. There was no place where you could just sit on a piece of grass and watch the sunset. No, you had to be in a restaurant and something commercialized. Jeez. And it's just so so controlled like that. I mean, I know that there are great outdoorsy places in America, tons of them. But I guess you need a car to do that, and I was too nervous to drive on the other side of the road.
Oh yeah, true.
Maybe at some point I'll have to do that. But yeah, it's just so different over there.
It seems like a cool place. I'm definitely keen to go there one
day.
Yeah,
definitely worth it.
To check it out.
Yeah.
And it's heaps of real weird nuances as well, like how tax isn't included within the cost of things.
God,
like that would be such a mindfuck. Tipping.
Okay. When you're over there, everything is pretty much double the price of here.
Crazy.
It's like you'll get like eggs on toast and it's like $50 New Zealand.
Shit. Well,
maybe with a juice as well, or a coffee.
Oh, thanks.
Coffee there is like
makes sense,
more than $10 New Zealand. It's crazy.
Wow.
So it's not affordable for Kiwis just because like the way that the dollar is, and the tipping and the taxes and and they're used to it. They don't see any problem with it. But for us, it's a headache.
And now as you're heading more into this sort of
Yep.
freelance tourism content creation, is that how you would sort of sum it up? Like tourism, content creator? Would you call yourself a content creator?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, content creator. And it's definitely a work in progress. I mean, I'm still early days of, maybe I can't make a living off just doing tourism content. We'll see. There's a lot of, I'm putting a lot of effort into relationship building with different companies, figuring out what is the best way to approach places. Like, I've messaged a lot of B&B places and I get a lot of no's. And I guess another issue is that the market is so saturated in terms of people who have some number of followers. We can all take photos and videos on our phone. Anyone who's decent at that and has a certain amount of followers, or just good content, you can get free stays. Like, it's really easy.
So is that what you're doing through all of your trips and stuff?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
How does that work? Tell us all, because I'm sure everyone would love some more like free Airbnb.
Yeah, totally.
Staycations.
Don't take mine though. No, it's cool. There's enough space. But I mean, I guess what I have found is difficult for me because if I want to make an income off it and places don't want to pay for it, but I have to take into account, like, this is 2 days worth of my time. Like,
traveling there.
Yeah,
everything.
traveling, petrol, food, everything. And if I were to compare that to like being on even like a minimum wage job, that's still like nearly 200 a day I'd need to make.
Yeah.
So in terms of hustling the deals, you pretty much, like, you can just reach out to them on Instagram, let them know a bit about yourself, what you're creating, send them some examples, and then you would say, whether you're offering the content or whether you're offering the exposure to your audience. And if it's your audience, then you want to show analytics of where they live, how old they are, all that kind of thing. And then the B&B will decide if they think it's worth you staying or not.
Yeah.
And I wish I made more of, during COVID times, when we had no international tourists in the country and everywhere wasn't necessarily empty, but there were empty rooms everywhere.
True that.
And I did a little bit of traveling during that time, but I regret not doing more of it, where it was just so easy to stay anywhere.
True.
For free.
Yeah.
Because
I never thought of that.
Yeah.
You're so right. There would be so many empty Airbnbs everywhere.
And it was so cheap as well. Like, even if you were just paying for a holiday, you'd pay $100 a night in 2020, 2021. Now you'll pay $400 to $500 a night for the same thing. So a lot of people miss the opportunity of exploring New Zealand during that period. I mean, obviously it was chaotic time and we never knew when it was actually safe to go travel or not.
Yeah.
So it was a bit tricky, but that was a great time where I did get to travel around a fair bit and work with a lot of different tourism companies around New Zealand, build up my relationships. And that has definitely put me in a better position now going into this full time, because I have a lot of relationships that I can lean on.
That's good.
And I have a lot of experience in this world also through Wellington Live.
Yeah.
Like, for example, with Wellington Live, I did a trip with Singapore Airlines to Singapore and Fiji Airways to Fiji. And so I got my head around how it all works. And I've also got reputation behind me now as well. So for someone starting off new, it would be, it is difficult.
Yeah, it's like the old thing we were talking about earlier, like trying to get your first job and you're wanting 5 to 8 years experience.
Yes.
It's like you slowly just gotta, chip away at the wood until you knock that tree down.
Pretty much.
It's pretty amazing what you're doing though, Lilia. Like, not many people find ways in their life to create the life that they want to live. And I've said this a few times on the podcast, but at times when I'm heading into Wellington to work my 9 to 5 corporate rat race, boring job, I'm actually heading into a better job soon, which should be cool.
Nice.
But you look on the train, you see all these people, like all ages, but they're falling asleep on the train. They're like, is this all life is about?
Yeah, exactly.
Is this what we're built here to do? But it's you've found a way where you can sort of blend all your passions and turn something that probably wasn't a job 20 years ago. Definitely wasn't a job. Probably was just a job only like roughly 5-8 years ago, even less. I don't know. It's such a new thing.
It's like being paid to make TikToks now.
It's crazy.
No one would have thought of that.
No. It is crazy. But the question I wanted to come to was social media paints a glamorous life, and we
Yes.
only see the good parts of it.
Yes.
We see, staying at Airbnbs,
Yeah,
we see
yeah.
the happy times, we see
Yeah.
eating out. What are some of the hardest moments
Oh,
about following this particular career path that people might not know about?
Oh, wait, hardest moments of following this career path. Any self-employed person will know that the hustle can be hard. The having to reach out to a lot of places and not succeeding in what you think might work. I think maybe that could be the hardest part. I mean, if we go back to, like a lot of social media can be fake. And luckily, we're at this point now where with Gen Z, there's a transition to being more natural. It's mainly because of TikTok. So TikToks will do better if it's less edited, less fake looking, and more just like a real person.
Right.
So it's doing wonders for the upcoming generation,
Yeah.
which is kind of slowly trickling onto millennials as well. When we realize, like, there's so many brands that will still post like heavily edited videos on TikTok and wonder
Like
why they're not doing well.
Too polished, eh?
Yeah,
too
like an
professional.
ad.
Yeah.
But people scrolling on TikTok, they don't want to see ads. They want to see just like a normal person talking
Yeah.
or showing you through something, or
Yeah.
But it's it's great that everyone's learning to become more open, less fake. Instagram as well, is more about reels versus super polished photos, whereas 5 years ago it was all about the polished photos, getting the best photos you possibly could, or like putting yourself in the photos as well. I lost my train of thought now.
No, that was good.
Yeah.
What do you see being some of the real challenges with social media?
Oh, yeah.
I'm particularly like a bit freaked out about it from
Oh yeah.
because I remember being 17, 16
Yeah.
and just unsupervised on like the internet and social media. There was that fucking horrible app called
Snapchat?
Ask FM.
Oh god, yeah, that one was terrible.
Dude,
as
it just
well.
like was there to bully kids. Like
Yeah,
it was
it
horrible.
was.
You send in anonymous like comments or
Yeah.
questions to people, and you would have no idea who are asking these questions. And most of the time, it's people just like absolutely roasting you or spreading rumors and stuff. But I feel like
All
the
the drama.
kids nowadays, look, I sound like such a boomer even saying that.
We're old now.
But I feel like they can sort of sniff out that bullshit a lot
Yeah.
better than we could,
And
as
they're
we were the
such-
guinea pig. We were the guinea pigs. Like I know my
Yes.
sister, my two sisters, they're 16 and 15.
Okay.
Like they're not on that sort of stuff. Like I think they
Good.
sort of use social media with a lot of discretion now, which is
That's
good.
good. Yeah, honestly, social media, it's great, but it's also terrible and causes a lot of problems, causes a lot of harm. Especially in our generation growing up, I saw all the harm it would cause to me and my friends,
For sure.
because adults would have no idea what was going on. There was no guidance at all. It was just these tech companies would keep coming up with more and more cool, like, new features that would, weren't used in an appropriate way. And I'm definitely glad now, it seems as though it's a lot better for the younger generation, because even people like us, like you've got sisters, so you could kind of give them a bit of guidance on different apps and the realities of what different sites like Ask FM are. It's a tricky one. Like I love social media, but I also hate it, and it's terrible for you. But we make do with what we've got, and for me that means trying to make a career out of it. Use the addiction for good.
Yeah, fair enough. I guess if you're going to be spending like so much time on your phone, you may as well do it and make money off it, right?
That's exactly my thought process. And that was also, that also helped me with Wellington Live as well, because I was spending so much time on social media. I was like, it would be a waste if I wasn't
Totally
creating pages and engaging with people and doing things like that on it. But yeah, no, I think social media is definitely quite a toxic place. But there's constant improvement of the more awareness that's out there, and there's going to be new things that'll be coming out soon, and new territories that we have not been familiar with, and the cycle may continue, and maybe it is a downhill battle against technology, but it is what it is.
Totally.
Can't do too much on it.
I was also keen to hear, it's really easy to get your validation through social media as well, through either, probably particularly for someone that's wanting to head into the sort of influencer realm, where your validation is actually your likes, your followers, your engagement. So how do you personally go about separating the validation from social media and bringing that into the real life?
Can you rephrase?
Like, how do you, because a lot of people get validation from likes and stuff, and that's how they see their self-worth is through social media.
Yeah, totally.
So how do you sort of differentiate yourself personally, the Lilia on Instagram, this business, essentially, and like the lifestyle that you're living, to the self-worth outside of the realm of social media?
Yeah, oh damn, that's a tough one, because I mean, definitely with someone with as high screen time as me, a lot of my world is social media. I mean, I've definitely learned over the years things like it's important to have really solid friendships in real life, even though I'm not an extrovert. Like I will force myself to spend time with my friends because I know it's healthy. And other parts about mental health and general health as well, you kind of learn, and luckily there are positive influences on social media about that kind of stuff that can have an impact. But I don't know actually. I just, if I'm happy, then I'm happy. If I'm not, then I'm not. Yeah. And it's a constant journey for sure.
It's just so interesting, because I know like definitely a lot of younger listeners, they might totally just get all of their validation in life through how many likes they get on social media, which is a fucked up way to view the world.
That's true. Okay. There's something I can talk about on this. Before COVID, before it all went down, on my personal Instagram, I believed, and what I saw through the way my engagement worked was that in order to get likes, I had to post like really nice photos of me. And it was kind of annoying because like I wanted to post other photos as well, like scenic photos. And then when COVID happens, we just got out of the first lockdown, and it was a beautiful day. I went up to Wrights Hill in Karori, and I was borrowing my dad's big camera lens, zooms in really far. And I went up the hill, and I was there to like take photos of Wellington because I knew it was a good view of Wellington, and there was some snow on the mountains, so it was beautiful. And then someone said to me, "Oh, hey, you can see, I can't pronounce it. I say Mount Taranaki, but I know that's wrong.
Let's go Mount Taranaki. I can't think of the name.
Yeah. I'm still learning. I'm still trying. I've nailed
Taupo, nice.
Yeah, I can do that one.
Yeah,
but
let's go.
It's work in progress. Anyway, so you could see the mountain from Wellington, and so I took a photo, and I posted that photo on Wellington Live because I had Wellington Live at that point in time. And that photo just went kind of viral. Like everyone was like, "Whoa, you can see it from here. It's like over 200 kilometers away." And then the media picked up on it, and it was published in the newspaper, and the flat earthers went crazy at it. And but from that, so I posted that on my personal Instagram as well. And then I would post photos of the snow behind Wellington, and that started me on a journey of landscape photography where I learned that people did appreciate those photos. I didn't have to post me in a bikini. Like I could post a photo of something that I think is beautiful and people will like it as well. And so I loved my feed at that point in time. It was all just very colorful and vibrant of all these different landscapes. And so from that, I learned, like that was a pivotal point for me where I realized it wasn't just about my image. It was about like talent as well and capturing other things. So that was really, I think that was really good for me to have experienced that. And now I'm less fussed about me in photos, and whereas for a lot of people, they might not have a pivotal moment like that.
Yeah. That's a really good answer. That's a really good take. Before we wrap things up, where can people stay in touch with you and your work?
Yeah, so I mainly use Instagram, so at lilia.alexander, and then on TikTok, I am at Lilia Alexander, no dot or anything. I'm also on LinkedIn, my name.
Very corporate.
Yes, I also do a bit of LinkedIn influencing because that's an
Nice.
untapped channel.
Yeah.
They love my scenic photos and my cool B&Bs on there.
How good.
So that's a whole new area, yeah. But yeah, that would be probably Instagram is the best place to follow
Cool.
along.
Yeah, we'll chuck some links in the description whether you're watching or listening to this episode.
Yeah.
And we'll finish just with some quick fire questions.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Social media app of choice,
Oh.
if you have one for the rest of your life.
Oh, oh my god, I'm like torn between Instagram and TikTok because but then Instagram also has Reels, so I would say TikTok right now because it also has good messaging.
Yep.
Whereas, wait, did I say TikTok just then?
You said TikTok.
Did I say Instagram? I mean Instagram.
Okay, Instagram.
Instagram is my choice because it's got everything.
Okay, nice.
Like I ditched Snapchat many years ago because Instagram does the photo sending and everything anyway, so you don't even need Snapchat anymore.
True.
Yep.
That's nice.
Yep.
Best spot in New Zealand for a staycation.
Oh my gosh. There's a lot of good places, but I love Mount Cook.
Mount Cook. Nice.
Mount Cook is great.
What brings you true happiness?
Oh my god, that's a deep question. I actually need to make a list on this. I feel like I might have started at some point. Like, I love nature and I love the night sky and sunsets and feeling at peace.
Nice.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Advice you wish you knew about when you were younger.
Ooh, damn, I mean, the whole thing is just a journey. It's, I don't know if anything in particular could have changed much at all. But, I mean, okay, a good one could be sometimes you have to listen to yourself and not others and just go with your gut feeling.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like that. If you could change one thing in New Zealand, what would this be?
Oh my god, these are big questions.
I know, they're like quick fire, but
well, one thing in New Zealand.
You got unlimited resource. You're the prime minister. You could do anything.
Oh shoot, okay.
It could be like literally magic.
I was going to say let's just change the way the government works because I know how much money's wasted.
Well, that could be the one.
Maybe that's it.
Yeah,
It's fully just redefine what the government is and how the money works.
Yep.
And because I've seen some silly spending. I've benefited from some of that silly spending. Let's get Wellington moving. But
I'm currently employed by the government, so I cannot make a comment on any of this.
No. Yeah, probably that. I just think it's all just quite silly.
Yeah,
It's
very right. Very
Yeah.
true. What do you believe is the main thing that is holding back young people in New Zealand?
There are many different factors to that. I mean, there's the influences, being able to see people succeeding that are like them. There's having the resources to do that. There's the tall poppy syndrome that, makes you think you need to push yourself down in order to be likable and fit in. Let's go with that one.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
The tall poppy syndrome. Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Lilia, thanks so much for jumping on.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it. Cheers.
No, it's
Thank you.
been good.